lot of obstacles. She had a stepfather that she didn't always agree with, and so they went head to head, especially when it came to her practicing. She was given a piano by one of her relatives, and so he could not tolerate her practicing, and of course she practiced as every opportunity she could get, so there were a lot of battles there. So anyway, she was bound and determined to make something of herself. And so in high school, wouldn't you know, they moved to a little podunk town out of Syracuse into the country called Livermore. Liverpool. I'm doing this off memory. I left my sheet at home, so please forgive me, Mom. So, she was determined to go to college, and being from an Italian family and kind of country and Italian immigrants, we didn't have a lot of education in our background. So she was the first to kind of head off and make this way for herself. Well, wouldn't you know, she arrived in New York, Syracuse, at Potsdam College, and she stepped off the bus, didn't have a place to stay, didn't have a job, and the admissions people said, especially in that day for a woman, she must be insane. So, wouldn't you know, they analyzed her for 3 days in a hospital. After determining that she was quite sane, just very, had a lot of grit. She went ahead and got her music degree and kind of acquired a parental figure with Dr. Reiner, and she still goes to see his widow every year. So that was quite a unique bond there. Anyways, there wasn't much happening in New York, and she wanted to sing, so she moved out to California, where my grandmother had a place to stay, under the name of her stage name of Gina Barbie. And shortly thereafter, she met and sang for my father in the John Kent Shaw Singers. It was a short love affair, and they eloped. She checked his idiosyncrasies off to being a musician. Found out the hard way a little later. There was something a lot more serious going on there mentally. So she continued to have babies and pursue her musical career. We ended up moving to Baldwin Park when I was 2, and she was pregnant with my brother Steve, and right next to my cousin Sandy, right down the street. And she got a job at Walnut School, as well as having many other jobs, singing with the Met when they would come out, singing on a regular basis with the synagogue and the United Methodist Church. That was Temple Israel in Hollywood, the synagogue. And she just pursued her singing career. I remember going to countless performances of Carmen, and vocalizing all the way on the way to church every Sunday morning, in the midst of work while Steve and I fought in the back seat. But then, of course, we had to put on the faces, or the smiles, I should say, when we stepped out in the church parking lot. So, but she really was the epitome of what it was like to persevere under difficult circumstances. She would come home, my dad would be wearing her dresses because he was not feeling like the man that he should have been, as he felt. He could not hold down a job, and so she supported us 2 kids and an adult kid, and very bravely so. She also then went to get her master's degree and drove herself into the ground, getting deathly ill. And then kind of saw my brother and I off, both in marriage. Steve got his RN with Cherie, and we celebrated that and their marriage soon thereafter. And now she's supporting me through college at almost age 50. So all those years, I've taken what I've seen in my mom. She has emulated perseverance and stick-to-itiveness, as well as strong will, strong mind, strong heart. And I definitely, Mom, am not the person that I would have been without you. So thank you. And at this time, Cecilia, her German Schwester, did I get that right? Okay, would like to come up and say a few things. Yeah. Thank you.
How many times do you have a student in your class who becomes your Schwester, your sister? Doesn't happen very often, and that has indeed happened between Gina and me. We mean it very sincerely. She enrolled in my German class at Citrus College and was just an amazing student. The Germans have a word for it. It's called der ewige Student, which means the eternal student. And I think that's such a wonderful phrase because it really symbolizes what Gina has done for her entire life. This is a person who has done multiple areas of endeavor, multiple degrees, and is still continuing. There's a Faustian element, I think, in Gina, where she's really looking for that ultimate, whatever that may be. And we wish her all the best in these efforts. A very, very special person. I'm talking today not only as a friend, but also as a representative of the Claremont Symphony, because Gina has been a part of our family for many years, probably a couple decades. I suspect that even members of the symphony don't know that Gina actually majored in flute when she was in college, that the voice was something that she did, quote, on the side, and she still can pick up that flute and perform, and I find that very amazing. She sang with us with the Messiah. She also did a performance of a piece by Mahler with the orchestra, very beautiful work, and then she joined us as a member of the viola section. And since she was sitting there with all that talent, she was asked to conduct one time the Sing-Along Messiah, which is a 30-year tradition with the Claremont Symphony. She did it with such panache that she was asked again and again and again to conduct, and that she did, and we're really sorry, but she did decide that it was sort of time to pass the baton, if I may make a pun, and she has turned that over to Robert Sage, who is our current music director. And as a sign and tribute to Gina, I have to tell you a little secret that maybe she doesn't even know. When it was announced that Robert was conducting, I had many people come up and say, "Is Gina okay? Why isn't she conducting?" And I thought, well, that's very nice coming from the orchestra. But when we had our performance attended by over 1,250 people, I had a couple dozen people come up to me and say, "Why isn't Gina Shaw conducting?" Because they came. And the best compliment was from a woman who's a stewardess who somehow arranges to make our Messiah for the last 25 years. She arranges her stopover. And I said, "Well, do you know Gina?" And she says, "Well, after 25 years of singing, I certainly do. And I really care about her." And I think that's symbolic of the kind of person that Gina is. She has a deepness of spirit that I think all of us here recognize and admire. And she shares this gentleness with all of us, and we're all very fond of her. I wanted to end with a compliment that is common in German, but is also common in Yiddish. And that is that the highest thing that you can say about a person is that they are a true human being. It's not what you do, it's not what you've done, it's who you are and the impact that you have on other people. And Gina Shaw, you have certainly done that to many, as you can see from the people who are here and the many, many others who really care for you. You have made an impact on all of our lives in a very positive way. And let me tell you what the Germans say. Gina Shaw is a Mensch, a human being. Thank you, Gina. We love you all.
Gina, I can call her a friend, and that's a special thing. You know, as we get older, we realize how important our friends are. And Gina came to my class many, many years ago. How many years? I always forget. About how many? Let's see. I was teaching a class on shamanism, which is really a respect for nature, an understanding that we're all a part of one whole energy field. And I studied with several people in Peru and also here. And it was the thing that shifted and changed my life very dramatically. So I wanted to share it. And Gina's son, Stephen, was a member of my class. And he got her curious, I imagine, about what this might be about. And so she showed up and has been involved in some form of shamanism ever since. And what I loved about her is she had no fear. She would go to the Methodist church and she'd talk about what she does, and she'd have people in classes, and it just amazed me because that takes a lot of courage. And she has a way of saying these things and teaching these things that it seems perfectly reasonable, not something really all that weird. But and so in the work that we do, the important thing is that we touch as many lives as we can and help as much as we can. But Gina has just absolutely confounded me because once she had completed the work we did together, that was just the beginning. As you heard the story of what she's done in the interim, along with everything she did in the earlier years, she is the eternal student, and now is going to become a teacher and a practitioner, and she'll work that all in with everything else. So I think the thing that's most profounds me is that she's showing, or what I would say that I really treasure, is that she shows that age is absolutely a mental state, and it doesn't mean a thing that you have reached a particular age as long as you don't agree that limits you in any way. And I myself am 77. I believe that very strongly, and I think that life is a gift, and with people like Gina around, there's no telling what we'll do, white hair or not. Hallelujah.
I won't have to come to my wake.
My name is Chris Mays. I used to be married to Linda Mays, who was choir director at Westwood Methodist from 1980 to 88. And at that time, Gina was the alto soloist in the choir. And one of the things, talking a lot about her musical background and the things that she's accomplished, one thing that really hasn't been stressed yet was just what a very beautiful voice and fine singer Gina has been and is. She could sing Baroque, trills, ornamentation with the best of them. She could do dramatic music. You name it, she did it impeccably. It was all backed by the finest of musicianship and an extraordinary musicality. Back about 25 years ago, I remember Gina gave a concert following. She was working on some advanced degree, and we attended it, and it was just an extraordinary concert. And of course, afterwards, I couldn't help but feel a little bit, and I said, you know, it was quite a trick, lip singing to recordings of Crystal Ludwig, Janet Baker, and Marilyn Horne. And for those of you who don't know, those were three of the finest mezzo's in the second half of the 20th century. Gina, I'll always remember your very beautiful voice and your wonderful singing. Thank you.
I'm Sharon Rhodes Wickett, and I was lead pastor at Westbridge United Methodist Church from 94 to 2006. And there are a couple things I want to say. One is, you know, people have stereotypes and images of church people and what church people are like, which always just really annoys me. And what was especially fun about Gina is in some ways Gina sort of can look like a little old church lady, right? and Gina could just blow that apart so well, which I delighted in. I was like, yes. So it was really fun to be able to share with people all kinds of things that Gina was into. And your trip to Peru when I was on staff, oh my gosh, I mean, I just couldn't believe some of the things you did and came back and shared with us. So she just kept opening up worlds to us. And as a staff, we would meet weekly, meet regularly, and really develop kind of a close bond. And Gina was so great to work with, just so easy, so go with the flow, but would have interesting ideas and interesting thoughts on so many things which really enriched all of us. And the third thing I want you to know is that she functions quite well as the Lord's Prayer police. Remember that, Gina? Well, sometimes we forget to put the Lord's Prayer in the worship service, and like, you know, whatever. But there are some people who are that's really important. So, because sometimes we forget it, not needing to, but just nobody noticed. So we said, Gina, please be the Lord's Prayer police. And make sure it's there. Well done, Gina. Thank you very much. So we go. Keep working there.
And now the hostess and guest of honor.
Never get a captive audience, my God. I'm really, well, what I want to say is it has become more and more clear to me how we are all one. And a lot of this has come through the meditation that I've done. You know, in the primordial sun meditation, we ask ourselves what we call soul questions. Who am I? What do I want? What is my dharma or purpose in life? And then you just let it all go, let go and let God, and then whatever comes to you comes. And through all of the stuff that I've been doing, I've come to realize that we not only breathe the same air, so our environment is all the same, play in the same water, drink the same water, which is most of our body is water anyway. Gather the goodness from the Mother Earth. We all share all of those things that makes us one. But the thing that really makes us one is that we all come from the universal potential, the creative potential of the universe. And we're all a little bit of a part of that. Some people call it God. And so that makes us indeed one. And so I'm so happy to be here with all of you ones. And you know, as I was coming back from Florida, and I sat among the people who our flight was canceled, so we saw a lot of disgruntled people. It was a full flight, and realized that they had to stay all night and miss a lot of connections and all of that. And I was just sitting there looking at, thinking, and I'm one with all these people. I'm one with that guy that's screaming at the, attendant. I'm one with a person that's just given up. I'm one with a person that says, oh, well, I'm happy to have this time. I didn't want to go home quite yet anyway. But, we're all one. And so, thank you.